Yes, I can say I was there at the launch of this, let's call it quite a unique timepiece. It was exciting and tiring, and I even took some pictures, so let's take a closer look at what I actually bought after camping for 12 hours at the back of Oxford Street in London, and possibly answer some of the questions, like of course, how good is this watch, what are the 3 things that I find really annoying about it, and what do I think about the price. And just to make it more fun, I have not 1 but 2 models here, so let's take a closer look. Hello and welcome to the channel. Yes, I will camp in London streets at night and even convince my relatives to join me for the sake of interesting content, so I would really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. It is apparently absolutely free. So in this review I will cover the specs and details of this watch, but hands-on this time, so no more guessing. I will also include lume shots and even compare the lume to Moon's watch. I will show how this watch wears on both 7-inch and 6.25-inch wrists, and finally share my verdict with some of the important points to be aware of and negatives that I picked up so far. I apologize in advance for a slightly longer than usual review, but I really tried to cover most of the key points, and thanks to the power of YouTube, you can always fast forward to the parts that are really interesting to you, or just go straight to the conclusion. Yes, I managed to convince a relative to join me at 2 AM in the morning or at night for this crazy mission. Originally, I aimed to get a vintage Arctic or Antarctic Ocean models and a modern one with a date, but when we finally got to the counter around midday, the Antarctic model was gone and the Arctic one looked somewhat uninspiring, so I settled for Indian and Pacific Ocean models. I've since changed my mind about the Arctic Ocean model and I will try to get it at some point in the future. And just in case you're wondering why I needed a partner, well, that's because Swatch enforces a 1 watch per person, per store, per day rule for these exclusive Blancpain collaboration pieces, which at the time of making this video I think is still in place. I will not go into the details of queuing and buying this watch in this video, as that could be a separate video on its own. I also believe it was somewhat different to Moon's watch launch. So if you are interested, well, do comment and I'll see what I can do. Okay, let's start with the packaging, because if you are buying this watch second-hand, you probably want to know what you should get. It looks like the sleeve and the box lid are specific to the models you buy. Like here we have a green package for Indian Ocean and the yellow one for a Pacific Ocean. The bottom part of the box seems to be the same for all the models though. Inside the box we get a watch case with a tough exterior, kind of like a protective armor dressed in nylon. The cases are also color coordinated to the watch models. We also get a brochure about this Blancpain collaboration. Under the cardboard insert we will find a warranty conditions booklet, and here is probably the most important part of the paperwork, the warranty certificate, dated and stamped. I was told by the store staff that this is what is required to be eligible for the 2-year warranty cover, which makes sense. The receipt apparently is not as important, well, not for the warranty anyway. Okay, dimensions. Well, most of the dimensions were published by Swatch and Blancpain days before the launch, but not all the details were actually published, and also I found there were some tiny discrepancies, although in this case they were not that significant. So diameter is 42.3mm as we were told, and pretty much right on the money. Like to like it's 48mm as we were told, and I measured it slightly, it's actually shorter of 47.8 or 47.9mm, which is actually even better. However, the case height is ever so slightly taller, measuring at 14.6mm instead of 14.4mm that we were told. And the lug width on this watch is 22mm. The supplied strap will fit wrists from 5.75 of an inch, which is 14.5cm, up to 10.75 of an inch, which is 27.5cm, and weight is 45 grams exactly, which is of course not surprising for the watch mostly made of plastic. Case. So we have a bi-ceramic case here. According to Swatch Group, the bi-ceramic colors used for these 50 Fathom SCUBA watches are all new. So let's hope that they tested them for the exposure to water and color bleed, especially after the complaints about the bi-ceramics on the Moonswatch. The plastic case does feel solid though, and definitely feels more robust than the Moonswatch case. We have of course an iconic shape here of arguably one of the most famous dive watches, Blancpain 50 Fathoms. The crown is signed with a Blancpain and Swatch collaboration logo and feels well proportioned and smooth in operation. It is a push-pull crown only, so no screw-down crown on this SCUBA watch. We have an inscribed Swatch branding on the side of the case. These side case inscriptions tend to be somewhat polarizing. I personally like it in this case because it mimics the design language of the original watch. On the back of the case we have a pressed-in case back. It does look like there are indents for the screw case back removal tool, but those are decorative only. Well, there is no much need to remove it anyway. Well, at least Swatch Group designers tend to think so, but more on this later. And of course we have a see-through back case, which is, strangely enough, made out of sapphire, as you can see me testing it here. And through this transparent see-through back case we can see the automatic mechanical system 51 movement, decorated by the laser imprint of the theme of the corresponding ocean, and nudibranch, a colorful slug that inspired the colorway of the particular model. Personally, I like the colorful approach to the case designs here. Well, I think the whole case design visually and aesthetically gives this unique watch a personality of its own, rather than just being a plastic rendition of the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. And let's not forget, we still have 50 fathoms, that is 91 meters or 300 feet of water resistance, so I guess we can even swim in this watch, although with a push-pull crown probably not for too long. Crystal. So we have ever so slightly curved and erased crystal here. Unlike the transparent back case, which is made out of sapphire, the crystal covering the dial is made out of bio-sourced glass and is treated with anti-scratch coating. So yeah, a mineral glass in my books. There are no details of anti-scratch coating composition, so let's hope that this will be harder than the mineral glass. One thing that I've noticed about this crystal though is the quality of the anti-reflective coating. It is really good, one of the best I've seen on a watch in this price point. No matter how much I twisted and turned my wrist under the sun while filming this watch outside, the dial still stayed nice legible. Bezel. Well, for a plastic watch the bezel is done really well. Well, actually, forget the plastic bit. The bezel is just good. It is 120 clicks unidirectional bezel. As you probably already heard, the bezel is also lumed with grade A superluminova, which is cool. And it is also covered by a bio-sourced glass, which is treated with anti-scratch coating. Yes, the same material that is used on the dial crystal. The alignment is perfect and the bezel action is also surprisingly good. Almost no backplay and the clicks are nice and tactile. The sound is a bit plasticky, well, it is a plastic watch after all, but it is very composed and sounds like it means business. I even made a recording, so let's have a listen. Movement. So yes, we have an automatic mechanical caliber system 51 here. This movement has been around for more than 10 years now, and yes, it has a very solid specs, good accuracy and impressive 90 hours of power reserve. However, I think the biggest gripe of the watch community is about the durability and serviceability of this movement. Well, a senior manager from Swatch UK who came to talk to us while we were still in the queue in early hours on Saturday morning on the launch day did explain to us in not so many words that even under warranty, if something goes wrong with this movement, the customer will most likely, like 99.99% likely, will get a brand new watch, because it is just not cost effective for a highly qualified staff in Swatch Group service centers to spend time fixing and servicing this movement. So this kind of makes sense and also gives a bit of peace of mind for the warranty period at least. Now, what about outside the warranty period? Well, this gets a bit more tricky. I guess that we will need to find an independent watchmaker who is willing and able to get spare parts to service this movement, because if we are to take it to Swatch Group, they will most likely insist on replacing the whole watch, practically rendering this timepiece disposable, which I'm not exactly happy about on a watch that just cost me $400. Okay, I'm painting a realistic but somewhat extreme scenario here. These movements are well made, tested and reliable, and are used as a workhorse practically for all Swatch mechanical watches. However, I think Swatch Group should have a long-term solution for this one. I have a bit of time to ponder on this. 2 years. Or about 2 years to be exact. Dial. Okay, I've got two dials here, Indian and Pacific Ocean one, and they are both every bit as I expecting them to be, and I mean it in a good way. The gradient color transitions are well done, the applied hour indices are generously filled with grade A superluminova, the same as the bezel markers, and I will put a lume shot in a moment. Also, I will put the lume shot comparing it to the Moon Swatch. The date wheels are color coordinated on both dials, again a good attention to detail here. As I mentioned at the start of the video, both of these models are part of the 3 modern ones, which include having the date, Arabic hour markers at 12, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock positions, and a more contemporary Blancpain logo. And as I pointed out in my pre-release videos, the hands are really well proportioned, and now physically looking at these dials, I can definitely confirm that. So let's take a look at the lume performance. And here I'm comparing it to the Lume Swatch lume, and even though the Moon Swatch lume wasn't the best, it wasn't too bad for the watch of this type. And now when we are comparing the two, we can actually clearly see how much better the lume is on this SCUBA 50 Fathoms watch. Strap. Okay, before we draw a conclusion, a brief look at the supplied NATO style straps here. According to Swatch, these straps are made from recycled fishing nets. Okay, the color schemes are well thought through, which I like. The keepers and the buckle are branded, which is also a nice touch. The buckle is even reusable, although being plastic, I'm not sure what will last longer, the buckle or the strap. The good news, of course, that we can always replace this with aftermarket NATO or Zulu style straps, or with the leather straps. Now, one important detail here, we do have drilled lugs, which is nice. The lugs are designed in a very similar fashion as on a 50 Fathoms Blancpain watch, which is arguably a bit of an overkill because it will require a tiny hexagon spanners to be removed, the same as on the Blancpain watch. So something to keep in mind if you are in a hurry to put this watch on a leather or a rubber strap. You will need to get hold of those little tools first. Okay, verdict and what I think about the price. Okay. As you probably guessed it, I do like this watch. I think the whole design visually and aesthetically gives this unique watch a personality of its own, rather than just being a plastic version of Blancpain 50 Fathoms. However, before I share my opinion about the price, there are 3 points that I'm not particularly happy about. First, which is a bit of an annoyance rather, the drill lugs that require special tools on a, let's be honest, a pretend diver watch. Okay, it is a pair of tiny hexagonal keys, but we still need to buy them specifically for this watch and unlikely to use them anywhere else. I think we still could have drilled lugs here, but with normal spring bars, and that probably would be much more appropriate. My second point, well, sapphire crystal on the back of the case and not on the front. That doesn't make practical sense unless I wear this watch upside down, which, well, could be a possibility. And my third point is a bit more serious than just annoyance. I think Swatch Group needs to have some more customer reassuring long-term strategy about the service of this watch. Again, because paying $400 for a watch which officially cannot be serviced is not really ideal, to say the least. Like I said, they have a couple of years to ponder on this one, and I do hope that there will be a third-party solutions to this potential problem. If you know of a third-party companies that do service these watches or these movements, it would be great if you could share with us in the comments. Okay, and the price. You probably noticed that I didn't complain about the price. Well, I find it hard to build a good argument here to complain about, because obviously I will be contradicting tens of thousands of people who readily paid retail $400, even after waiting for 12 or 20 hours in the queues. And another thousands of customers who will still readily pay pretty much double this amount buying these watches on eBay and other online platforms. And as much as it annoys me personally, I cannot say that Swatch Group marketing guys misjudged the market. I think on the contrary, they actually got it exactly right. And I know that might sound controversial, but from the business standpoint, I think they've done really well. What are your thoughts? Well, do let us know in the comments. But if plastic pretend divers for $400 is not your cup of tea, then check my other reviews of the real stainless steel 200-meter divers with much more attractive price tags. I will put them on the screen somewhere around here, or maybe there. And as always, thank you for watching, take care, don't forget to subscribe, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.